Why lean protein is your best friend, why it will not be converted into fat. Okay. The conversation goes, we have three macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat. Let's keep it simple, protein, fat. Okay. So it's easy to understand why people will put them together and think of them as being similar in some ways. The truth is, yes, that carbohydrate and dietary fat are fuels, both of which can be used as fuel by the body. Great. The mistake, however, is to think that protein is also a fuel. It is not a fuel. It is a building material. It builds, it maintains, it repairs. It's not a fuel. So if it's not a fuel, why would the body ever store it as a future fuel? So body fat is a future fuel, right? We have a certain amount of body fat on us so that if we need fuel in the future, we are able to access it and use it as fuel. If it wasn't future fuel, we wouldn't have any of it at all. There is a reason for it. If protein isn't actually a fuel, why on earth would it be stored as body fat if body fat is a fuel? Let's break this down. Let's use an analogy. I love this analogy. And the analogy is, I've changed it a little bit, but it was definitely from Andy Galpin, but I think he got it from somebody else, so I think I get a pass. Slightly different. I've modified it a little bit, but it's a great analogy. You are camping and you want to build a fire to cook some dinner. And you have a pile of paper, you have a pile of wood, and you have a pile of bricks. You can grab that paper and you can light it, and it will give off a big, instant, huge amount of heat, and whoo, then it's gone. So as long as you have a lot of paper and you're willing to keep throwing it on there and lighting it, then yeah, I guess you could keep a flame going. It's going to be a bit inconvenient and you're going to have a lot of paper, but I guess you could do it. Or you could get the wood. So the wood, you get the wood, you kindle the wood, you light the wood, you stoke the wood, and you eventually, it takes a little bit of time, but eventually you get the fire going. And you've got other pieces of wood you can throw on, but you don't need them all bit by bit. You throw them on. It's not like paper where you fly them on. And that's a pretty good way to get a flame going and cook your dinner. Or you could try lighting the bricks. Bricks don't burn. You'd be lighting, like, I mean, you're going to be eating your dinner raw. It's not going to work because bricks are not a fuel. Bricks are there to build things. You see where the analogy is going? The paper is carbohydrate as a fuel. Carbohydrate as a fuel, sugar burning exercise, it's the sprint, it's the rep, it's the explosion, it's a lot of energy really quick and whoo, then it's gone. The wood is the fat. Fat has to be mobilized from its storage site. So you're storing fat, it's fat cell. It has to get out the fat cell, it has to travel to the working muscle, and it has to be oxidized as fuel. That takes time. But once you get that pathway going, we can actually burn fat for quite a long time. So it takes a little while to get going, but once it gets going, pretty good. So then we're talking about fat burning activity, right? So you might feel about, oh, it's a fat burning exercise. That's going to be a moderate intensity, long duration exercise. It's going to be a fat burning. It takes a little while to get going, but once it gets going, it can fuel you for a long time. Fat burning. But if you're going to try and burn bricks, that's like trying to use protein as a fuel. It's not a fuel. If you eat excess carbohydrates, they're going to enter the blood, and then the body's going to be like, what can I do with these excess carbs? Maybe you use them for instant fuel. Maybe there's an immediate reason for them. Maybe you're active. Maybe they can be used straight away. Then hopefully those carbs can travel into muscle and be stored in muscle. But if the muscle's dormant, that's not so easy. It's a separate video I'm going to do. And that would be short-term storage that go into the muscle, short-term storage. But if the muscles are full, or if the muscle's dormant, it's pretty hard to get carbohydrates into a muscle, so they're just going to go into fat. So you eat carbohydrates, those carbohydrates it depends on the environment that you have created, where they go, but absolutely in excess, when the muscles are full in a sedentary state, they're going to go get converted to fat very easily. Fat. People have got really comfortable with eating fat. I think keto did it. People were terrified of fat. Now they're very happy eating fat because they got hooked on blood glucose. Oh, look at fat doesn't change my blood glucose. I must be losing weight. Dietary fat. So carbohydrates get absorbed into the blood. Fat does not. Fat emulsified by bile, and it travels actually in your lymphatic system. So it takes a bit longer, travels in your lymphatic system, drops down through that vein in your neck into your liver. And then the liver's got that fat. So what the liver's going to do, it's going to use it for any energy it might need. It's going to use it for things like making cholesterol. And anything extra than that, it's going to convert into triglycerides, which are the storage form of fat, and shoot them out where they're going to land on your ass or your back or your hips or wherever. So dietary fat in excess, lymphatic system, just a different journey, plops down into your liver. Your liver takes what it needs to make other things, and then it just repackages it and sends it back out into storage. So dietary fat is not free. And I think a lot of people have got very comfortable with fat and it gets really sloppy. And they start having these salads where, oh, I use oil and vinegar and I've got half an avocado on there and there's cheese in there and there's nothing. Wow, you've got a 120-gram fat salad, like, and you haven't lost weight. I wonder why. But then you get protein. If there was excess protein, and I don't even know what that is, what does that even mean? If there were excess amino acids, protein is broken down to amino acids. They don't go to, insulin doesn't do that, doesn't go through the lymphatic system. They would be excreted. Lean protein is your friend. Now, if you're eating a bunch of protein with a donut and some French fries or something, then yeah, it'll all get converted. But by itself, or in a low insulin state, lean protein is your friend. It will not be converted into fat. So what is the scenario that protein could be converted into fat? And this is pure fantasy. And for this, you should have watched the video before this on gluconeogenesis. So the situation could be you're in a fasted state, you're not eating, you're doing zero carbs, something like that, and the body runs out of glucose. And the liver, which stores glucose, again, if you don't know about this, go back to the last video. The liver, which stores glucose, has been sending glucose out into circulation to help out, but it just ran out. It only holds 400 to 600 calories. So the stored glucose in your liver has gone. Oof. So now the body's, oh, wow, ran out of glucose. The brain really likes glucose. The cells of the body really like glucose. You know what? I'm going to do gluconeogenesis. And the liver will turn amino acids into glucose. So at that point, if there was excess protein, the body could theoretically take those amino acids, they would go to the liver would turn them into glucose through gluconeogenesis, the creation of new glucose. It would turn a protein into a carb, and it would create glucose to send out. But how then would that glucose be converted into fat? Because we know we'd have to have an excess of it. So the scenario would have to be, okay, we're in a fasted state, we've run out of glucose, the liver's run out of glucose. Now we have to convert this dietary protein into glucose, and we have to create so much glucose that it's actually in excess, so the insulin will take that actually and convert it into fat. It doesn't make sense. The body does gluconeogenesis when it's run out of fuel. So when it's run out of fuel, the body creates more glucose in a fasted state, low carbohydrate state, very low calorie state. Somebody that's doing a lot of exercise, it will do gluconeogenesis. So you'd have to be in this place of a deficit for the liver to do gluconeogenesis, convert protein into glucose, and then the liver would have to create so much glucose that it was in excess to convert into fat. It can't be in excess because you'd have to be in a deficit for the liver to do gluconeogenesis in the first place. Lean protein is your best friend if you are trying to change your body composition. If you're trying to change your eating behavior, if you're trying to lose weight, it is your best friend. won't be converted to fat. If you deal with hunger, it is your best friend. Just about every appetite regulator is improved with lean protein, including the ever popular GLP-1. You can make more of your own GLP-1 with amino acids. So protein will actually help you have more of this appetite suppressing GLP-1, but that's not the only appetite regulator. There are many of them, and protein helps all of them. So eating enough protein, you will not be hungry. I prove this over and over and over and over again. Excess protein won't be converted to fat because it's not a fuel. It's not a fuel. Carbs and fat are fuel. Protein is not a fuel. Its purpose is to build, maintain, and repair. And it's going to help you build muscle. So if you're doing the resistance training, if you've got to be eating enough of it, if you've eaten enough protein and you've got the right stimuli, then you build muscle, and muscle is your metabolic tool. The more muscle you have, the higher your metabolic rate, the more calories you need per day. If you need more calories per day to lose weight, you don't have to cut calories as much because you need more per day. And the other part of protein is a thing called the thermic effective food. So TEF, thermic effective food, is there is a certain amount of calories in a food that is needed for digestion and absorption. So say with protein, I think it's 20 or 30%. So if you get 100 calories of chicken, then 20 to 30 calories of that chicken will be used in digestion, processing, and absorption. 20 to 30%. So even the calories you eat of protein, they're not even all going to be available because a lot of them are going to be needed just to digest, process, and absorb this nutrient. Also, if you want to talk about gluconeogenesis, if the body really wanted to use amino acid protein to convert into glucose, why would it do that? Because think about it, you'd have to be again in a fasted state, blah, 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 no glucose, liver ran out, and then the body would be like, okay, I'm going to do gluconeogenesis. It's going to have to it's a whole thing. I'm going to have to get the amino acids. I'm going to have to move and put them in the liver. The liver's going to have to do this whole thing of gluconeogenesis. Then the glucose is going to have to be released, and I'm going to have to send it out to do its job. Or I could just use a fuel, dietary fat or body fat, carbohydrate. There's an energy requirement to do gluconeogenesis. So if the body is trying to create a fuel, you're going to ask it to use fuel to create a fuel. It's going to have to use fuel to do gluconeogenesis to create a fuel. It makes no sense. I've been coaching body composition for 30 years. I have never seen anybody come into my office and be like, wow, you know what? It was that extra 2 ounces of chicken I put on my salad. I've never seen it. What I have seen, and I see all the time, is people where they just get stuck because their dietary fat is too high. I see that a lot. And I've been guilty of that. I've been very guilty of that. It's very easy for those fat grams to get out of control and your blood sugar to be all good and thinking, oh my gosh, why aren't I losing weight, until you actually look at how many fat grams you actually ate. This is how I coach. This is what I do. Lean protein is now I'm not talking about ribs here or so. Lean protein is your best friend with regards to eating behavior, hunger, body composition in terms of building muscle, but also it is your best macronutrient and most powerful macronutrient when it comes to losing body fat. Yes, we obviously have to control carbohydrates, but we want to be for fat loss, we want to be in a calorie deficit, but a protein surplus. If you're hungry, throw some more lean protein on that meal. Have a snack of lean protein. It will only help. Okay.